Hey guys, welcome to the 716 Sports Entertainment Podcast, SmackDown edition pre the Elimination Chamber. And we had some changes leading into the PLE that is coming to you guys live tonight from the expensive ESPN Plus app. So we got some stuff to talk about what happened on SmackDown last night because we had some changes to the PLE. And normally we don't do these SmackDown episodes, but this one had a lot going on and some big changes, which are going to affect the show tonight. So we wanted to talk about it. So with that, I am Mike, joined by Mr. T. Reese and Mr. Sean O'Neill. And fellas, I guess, the big news coming out of this show is how it opened up with Jey Uso being taken out in an ambulance and Jacob Fatu being like, I'm going to get whoever did this to Jey. And as we know, Jey won the last number one contender spot on Raw this past week over an injured Bronson Reed and El Grande Americano, which was, to make him the last member of the Elimination Chamber. And then it led to kind of a night-long narrative, which ultimately ended with Logan Paul being added to the Elimination Chamber. So let's talk about it. How do we feel about all of this?
So first of all, it's nice to see Mr. Reese back here on a wrestling podcast with us. Just watching, if you looked at the makeup of the Elimination Chamber, it makes sense to put another heel in there, considering as Trick Williams was the only heel currently in there. And that's way too big of a proportion towards good guys than bad. So I think it makes sense to put Logan Paul in there. Plus, he's another sort of higher flyer kind of guy, so it should make for some interesting dynamics in there.
Well, I mean, wouldn't you say this is more WWE just making it right? Like
Yeah,
Jay should have been in that elimination chamber to begin with. And I think a
he
lot
went
of the
back into a corner.
backlash. Well, I mean, I think a lot of this is just a result of the backlash. They weren't really backed in a corner. They could have went a different route and automatically just put another person from the division in there, which makes sense to probably put Logan Paul in this match. I mean, Jey Uso, think about it. Jey Uso, who in that match would he have been in? I mean, it would have just been Jey Uso in that match. He wouldn't have been doing much of anything. He'll probably yeet in the middle of it. It's just boring. He hasn't utilized his popularity at all. He's just been stagnant. It's just been the same thing on repeat since Gunther. And that's the problem that he has right now. So he can't be, I mean, I haven't heard that he's upset or anything, but he can't be mad at, him not being in there, dude. He hasn't done nothing with the time that, he's been given to try and really make himself a bit more popular. But again, his shirt sells, and I think that's why WWE keeps cramming him in there.
He also wasn't meant to be in there because it was supposed to be Bronson Reed. So I think this was a pretty good course correction to make up for that. And it also allows them, because at this point it's seeming like it was the Vision that took him out or took out Jey. I think that they can use that to actually set up a WrestleMania match too. I think we're going to see Jimmy and Jey versus the Vision for the tag titles at Mania.
So one of the things that I guess I found interesting about this is they obviously had a match between Jacob and Logan Paul, right, to determine who was going to be the person that went in there. And, during that match, we obviously had an attack again coming from the masked individual, which turned out to be just a nobody. Obviously, this wasn't whoever the masked individual was supposed to be. It was probably a stand-in of some kind because they did unmask him. Logan Paul, or not Logan Paul, Austin Theory was able to rip the mask off of him. And it turned out to just be some kind of nobody, but it ultimately, the distraction with everything else allowed Logan Paul to pick up the win over Jacob Fatu after Drew McIntyre clocked him with the title and then kind of took off. So a couple of points here, I guess I want to make, after kind of just giving that quick recap. It seems pretty obvious now that yeah, it's fine to have Logan Paul in this Elimination Chamber match, and I don't think that's the bigger deal here. But it seems all but inevitable that Jacob Fatu is going to find his way into this title match at WrestleMania.
I also think that with that backstage segment with Sammy, I still truly believe Sammy's going to be involved somehow too, because they keep making a point of having Sammy interacting with both Cody and Jacob And I think Sammy's going to force his way into that match as well. And I mean that whole backstage segment between Sammy and Jacob was fantastic.
Good as the one 2 weeks
Especially
ago. Yeah.
seeing Sammy slamming the stuff afterwards. It's nice to see him not maybe adding a little bit more to his "I'm not just a stupid underdog" character. Um, and of course, I think the masked man thing. I wouldn't be shocked if when we're watching later, the masked man plays a role in the Elimination Chamber still.
I think we get a reveal.
Hopefully, because they waited too long. It's going to go out and be lame.
Because now because it becomes more of a parody than it becomes an actual storyline. So I think kind of like what they did with El Grande. After a while, it becomes a bit okay. This is cool for a little while, but how long are we going to do this? But at this point, I see nothing wrong with Jake Paul being in there. They had to bring somebody else from the division to replace him. I know they had to end that match, but I mean, it was only them making it right that Jay shouldn't have even been in there to begin with. I'm surprised they even let him make the pen.
Yeah.
I mean,
I was just gonna say, Sean, your point makes a lot of sense, right? Like the dynamic of the match alone, 5 faces and 1 heel. Now, like having it be 4-2, like I think that makes a lot more sense. And I don't know. I just think like the dynamic is just going to be much better because now you can kind of stagger the way you have these guys coming in and out, right? So you're not just going to have like, I mean, I know Javon Evans did take that RKO from Randy Orton, just to kind of like be a little element there, just to be like, Randy Orton's crazy. You don't know what he's going to do. But like, if you had like Jey Uso and like Javon Evans in there at the same time being like 1 and 2, or Cody and Javon Evans like as 1 and 2, they're gonna like babyface wrestle each other, which isn't gonna seem like very, whatever. But everybody hates Logan Paul because he's a douchebag. And Trick Williams during the opening segment was really like, you know, douchebag as well, right? So like they're all gonna kind of have like a reason to want to like fight each other a little bit more, I think, which helps add to the overall match because having that many baby faces wouldn't have worked.
Yeah, it's nice that now we're gonna have 2 heels, 3 faces, and whatever Randy Orton is, because he's never really one or the other.
It was a little sloppy. I thought that segment though when Jay got jumped, wasn't it? Like they had so much commotion going on, you could really hear anybody talking. It was just kind of weird how they threw everybody out there by the ambulance. Yeah. Like, okay, guys, that's a little over the top. You probably could have sent out, Sammy or Fatu or somebody out there, but it was just weird. Everybody standing out there. So I couldn't really hear what was being said. But I mean, that's what happens when you got to make a big U-turn in the middle of right before the pay-per-view. So hopefully we get a good show out of this.
Yeah,
honestly,
I agree.
I think this improves the show. So,
we'll see. I mean, my understanding, I heard there's a lot of last-minute changes, still stuff changing right now as far as what the plan is.
As long as we don't get Jey Uso rolling it back in the middle of the Elimination Chamber, it's automatically a better friggin' show. Roll it back.
Yeah, and I think with that opening segment, like you always get before these big PLEs, whenever there's like a big multi-person match, be it Money in the Bank or be it this one, all of them all together, like they come out and they all yell at each other and get in each other's faces and stuff like that. So that obviously happened, but it was cool to see the edge a little bit, no pun intended, on everybody, right? Like, Drew came out and was like, I'm being blamed for this again, and I didn't do anything, and Cody came out immediately with some fire, right? Which I absolutely loved. Like, I'm really getting tired of, I don't want to say I'm getting tired of because I really like Cody, but I'm getting a little bit bored of like, white meat baby face, Super Cena, Cody Rhodes a little bit.
Yep.
And I love that he kind of came out with the fire, called Drew a bitch, like right away, and was really just cussing him down, which brought out Randy and, the whole brigade of everybody. And it was actually really cool to see in that segment too, how over Trick was. Trick was so over with the crowd, and that was really cool to see. And, I know him and Mello are going to always kind of be like, ceremoniously linked in one way or another, but he is just way more over than Mello with the crowd by a lot.
Well, and don't forget, they kind of introduced, they moved him up to the roster with a little more elegance than they did with Carmelo. Because Carmelo was just kind of like a background guy. He's a side guy for the Miz. So it didn't really allow him to shine for months. I remember he even disappeared off of TV for like a few months. So
that's true.
The presentation was a lot different between the two.
Yeah.
They screwed up Melo because Melo was a number 1 pick during their one draft, and they brought him in. He had a match against Cody Rhodes, like right away, and then nothing from him.
Mm-hmm.
They like immediately dropped the ball. So whereas with Trick, like you just mentioned, they're at least being consistent with the way they're presenting him, and to immediately put him into such high profile like action is huge. And I give the same thing to Javon Evans. He hasn't been around that long yet, and to immediately throw him into something like this is great. I think the other pop though that is worth mentioning is LA Knight and the pop that he continues to get. And if WWE doesn't do something with him, it's going to 100% be one of their worst missed opportunities. Like they need at some point within the next 6 months to do something with Knight, like big.
So what's one of the things I wanted to mention, because it seems inevitable, I guess, at this point, but is that what we're going to do with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania?
I don't know.
Because those are the reports, right? It's going to be Lesnar and LA Knight.
I certainly.
You don't want it? You don't want that?
No.
I'm worried that Lesnar LA Knight it just turns into another Lesnar John Moxley, or I'm sorry, Lesnar Dean Ambrose, where it just feels like they wanted it to be something, and then Lesnar just didn't give a damn, and the match turned out horrible.
Well, see, but the problem with Lesnar is he needs someone who can carry a match for him. Because don't forget now, Lesnar has been pretty limited in the ring with stuff that he does. So you need someone who can draw a match out a little bit. I just don't see LA Knight being that type of guy to be able to do that.
And that worries me then for what else we've been hearing, right? Which who else was obviously on this show as well was Oba Femi, who, he basically squashed Miz. I mean, they had a nice little match, but he more or less just squashed Miz. But that's the other report for Brock too, right? Is that it might be Oba. I mean, everyone is kind of the impression that Gunther is going to retire Brock, but that's probably not going to be until the SummerSlam in Minnesota, where Brock's from, which makes more sense to do that. But I mean, I don't know. What do you do? Like to your point, Sean, what do you do with LA Knight? Exactly. I don't think he's not going to win this match tonight. I mean, it would be a huge swerve if he did. And then I'd say, yeah, have him beat Drew, put the friggin' title on him. But then like if you don't do that, I suppose like fantasy booking this out, right? LA Knight were to win tonight, then you do a triple threat between Cody, Jacob, and Sammy. Non-title, right? I mean, that's what you could do with those guys if they don't win, but I mean, it still seems like a foregone conclusion that Cody is going to win, but I digress.
I just want them to, I feel like they have something that's incredibly hot, and I don't want them to screw it up and miss the opportunity. And I mean, LA Knight has been fantastic for them. I mean, he's done everything they've wanted. Can't talk about a company guy without saying him at this point. And he deserves to be a champion.
Well, wasn't he in the doghouse for a bit with Triple H over some stuff?
Him and somebody got into it last year during the Rumble. But that's over a year ago.
It was something this year too. It was like some sort of issues backstage between him and Triple H.
I hadn't heard that.
I remember what you said, Sean, about the Rumble. Like
it was him and Drew.
Him and Drew had some kind of like some shit during the Rumble. I remember that. But he did have something. I thought it was longer ago though, where like he had some there were reports from that AEW shill Dave Meltzer that he had some like attitude issues backstage or something like that. I remember something like that, but I feel like that was a while ago. I could be wrong, but
anything that comes from Meltzer, I take with more than just a grain of salt, like a whole bag of salt.
So, yeah, so that was certainly interesting, and I don't think it's going to radically change the winner tonight, and I'm assuming you guys probably agree with me, but it definitely makes the match better, and it just makes a lot of stuff that went on SmackDown a bit more cohesive and ultimately allowed this to be a bit of a better show, I think, for a go home show.
So, when was the last time we've been able to say that an episode of SmackDown was better than an episode of Raw? Because we can definitely say it this week.
Yeah, for sure. Raw was terrible on Monday.
It just had no cohesiveness. At least there was something tying together this episode of SmackDown throughout the entire 3 hours. Like there
Mhm.
was one major plot line that kept it all together, which is what WWE needs to really focus on. Give yourself, and which it's not that hard to do. With all the stories you're telling, just pick one of them and use that as your through line for the entire episode.
Well, that's WWE's issue, right? Isn't that what we complained about AEW? Just crap, just flooding your roster with a bunch of wrestlers and no direction for all of them. And then you're trying to make now you're just trying to put a bunch of them in the ring just to get them on TV time, just to say you're using them to justify their contracts. I don't know what WWE is going to do. So I'm shocked that they are moving so many people up. This is probably over the last 12 months, I don't think they've moved this many people up from NXT to their main roster as much as they did this in the last year. And there doesn't seem to be too much of a plan, any type of plan at all. I think they're just going it maybe week by week, show by show, and trying to angle stories. It seems really out of sorts. I just don't see any cohesiveness in a lot of this.
The problem is though is they need to be moving people up because they need to be starting to build these future people because look at how many people on the roster are old. They've only got a couple of years left on a bunch of these guys, if even that. And
what are you going to do? But you already paid the older guys. You have to let them go in order for the other guys to shine. So you got to pick one. You can't have them both.
You got to start phasing them out.
Right. And there doesn't seem to be much of that going on. They're just cramming the roster right now. She's completely lost in the shuffle. Completely lost. A world talent, and she's completely lost in the shuffle.
I've been saying that for months. About Julia. And it's a fine line, right? Like I agree with your point 100%, both of you. And like you need to push younger talent, but also at the same time, like they need big marquee matchups with the bigger, older, more expensive contracts to fill out these big time PLEs, right? Like WrestleMania. Look at what the main events of WrestleMania are going to be, right? You've got Roman and CM Punk. They're like your biggest stars, and then the last two, Cody and John Cena, right? And then the other one was Roman Reigns, CM Punk, and Seth Rollins. Your biggest stars are in your main events. And then Cody and Roman, 2 years in a row. It's your biggest stars in these big time matches.
So I just want to make a point to Terrence's comment about Julia. I've been saying for months now that the problem with Julia is the fact that WWE has too many of their major women tied up in the tag division. And now that we're starting to see that fall apart, I think we should start to see a little bit better as far as like Jade goes and Julia and that goes, because we're going to have more people available to take part in those kind of matches.
Well, they're doing the opposite of what they're doing with the men's tag. They're flooding the market with these guys. Oh, lost my camera. They're flooding the market with these guys. And again, like I said, there's no direction. There's no plan for any of these people. There really isn't. It doesn't seem like that. Like I said, they're doing it by strictly by just week to week, it looks like to me.
I agree with that. Which is actually a good segue. You were talking about the women's tag teams, right? So I guess as we kind of predicted on this channel, Rhea and Io lost their tag team titles to Nia and Lash. And I think that, the match was nothing spectacular. And I think it leads to, we'll talk about the tag titles first, and then we'll talk about Elimination Chamber. I think that this is going to lead to them, versus Bayley and Lyra versus the Bellas. And then if you don't have anything to do with Asuka and Kairi, probably Asuka and Kairi at WrestleMania in some kind of multi-person match for those tag titles.
For sure. I think that this was also done because it's more believable to see Rhea and Io lose to these two than it would be to see them lose to the Bellas. And I think people might react to the Bellas winning at Mania, which I'm firmly expecting, to react to that better if it's going over a heel team of Nia Jax and Lash Legend than it would be going over Rhea and Io. And like you mentioned, this obviously does impact the Elimination Chamber as well, but I think that the match itself was pretty damn good. I'm normally not a fan of the Nia and Lash tag team, and I think they did a pretty good job here.
I think
We lost T.
You might have lost T for a second there.
What's your opinion then while we wait?
No, I agree with you. I mean, the match was fine. I mean, the wrestling is always good on these shows, but it's just it's good that I think for Rhea and Io, like I was okay with them having this to elevate those tag titles for a little while, but I think T said it earlier. You need to get some of these women into the singles ranks a little bit. Rhea's too big of a star, I think, to be like, I don't want to undermine the tag team division, but Rhea and Io are some of your best wrestlers and your biggest stars. They should be singles wrestlers. And I think that makes a lot more sense. Sorry, T, it looks like you're back. Go ahead.
Well, I think that what they need to do is what they used to do back in the day. You need to let some of these people disappear off of TV for a little while, allow other people to get the shine. You pull Rhea off, or maybe give her a month or two off, allow some other storylines develop, then you bring her back. I mean, Stone Cold did it, The Rock did it. I mean, you can go down the list. Triple H did it multiple times. Roman Reigns has done it, but they don't seem to really do it all that much with the women's division. And so you're just getting flooded with all the talent they have on that. And there's just, again, there's no direction with it. It's just, okay, who's available this week? Who wasn't on last week? We'll put on this week. There's no focus on it. And they have enough. Now, I expect this back during the Divas era because they really didn't have any quality women wrestlers back then. Right now, you have a talent pool that has barely even been scratched. And I think that they're just kind of like I said, they're just floating. They're just, let's see what happens, and then we'll figure it out next week.
And considering that there's going to be adding, I mean, after Mania, they'll be adding more people. It already looks like they're getting ready to move people like Sol Ruka up to the main roster based on what happened on NXT. We finally got the split between her and Zarya. So it doesn't look like it's going to stop as far as them moving new people up. So I think you're right, T. That wouldn't be a bad way to do it. Is just have them do like they've done it with Bayley. She's probably the one woman that they've done it with the most. Is have her go away for a little while and then come back in a new form. But I don't think it can be Rhea because I think that much like Mike said in the predictions video, if Rhea lost the titles here, I think this pretty much almost guarantees Rhea to win the Elimination Chamber.
Absolutely. Or I mean, they're like, very well be swerving us.
My pick of Alexa because of storyline goes completely out the window now because of Rhea winning.
Yeah, I'm completely with you on that. That was what I was going to say as a perfect segue. Rhea, like, you do this because it's the biggest thing you can do for Jade, right? I don't think people want to see a rematch of Tiffany and Jade. I don't think people want that. And it didn't really go over very well when they did it, when Jade beat her for the title. So, and as great as Asuka is, I just don't think 2026 people care about her like they did in 2019. I just don't think people care about Asuka like they used to. And I kind of feel like they're just going to find some other way to get us to Alexa and Charlotte. I just don't think that WWE's storytelling chops are up to snuff to like get us to that kind of detailed level of storytelling where Charlotte is jealous that Alexa won the Elimination Chamber, so she's going to cost her and all this. I don't see it. That would be a really awesome story, but I don't think they're going to forego just doing Rhea and Jade Berg.
How hard is it for WWE's writers' room to come up with a story like that when an idiot like me can come up with a story like that? Like, WWE, pay me. I can come up with stories that are smarter than your writers room can. And I'm a moron. So, because what do you guys like to say? Don't be like Sean.
Don't be
Yet,
like Sean.
yet somehow I can come up with a better story than WWE's writer room. Just playing the WWE video game, for Christ's sake.
Oh God.
By the way, comes out in 2 weeks.
It's a good plug. It's a good plug for what's probably in the mystery crate that's going to get revealed tonight. It's going to be DLC for the WWE game.
It's going to be close to Triple H.
It wouldn't shock me for sure. But I do think
based
about what's his face too. They were showing what's his name from AEW that came over.
Royce Keys.
No, Housen.
Danhausen.
Oh, Danhausen. Yeah.
It could be Danhausen.
Oh God, can you imagine? How stupid would that be?
I've seen some people bring it up on the internet.
No, they have mentioned it, but the problem with it being Danhausen is it's a similar situation to Jericho, where apparently he's still showing up on AEW's roster page. So who the hell knows? I'm really scared that based on the stupid promo we had backstage with R-Truth and all the rest of the guys from catering that were bored, that it's going to be something ESPN app related. And at that point, I'd almost rather it was clones of Triple H repping the game.
I swear, if it's ESPN related, I'm going to lose my mind.
It should be the main event of the show tonight.
Listen, if it's an advertisement, I'm done doing podcasts for WWE. I'm done.
And you barely do it with us anyway.
It's a joke. It's a joke.
No, the best part is that they're going to bring it out to the ring, and they're going to do it in the middle of the ring. I actually heard, speaking of the box, I actually heard a really cool idea that it could be another pod for the chamber. And that they're going to increase the chamber size and add another one.
That would actually be all right. I wouldn't hate that. Like, of all of the things that it could be, I would not hate that. I still think the best idea is the Jericho clock. I really do. I think of all of the things it could be, I think the Jericho clock is the best idea. But yeah, it's going to be either, to your point, either something for the ESPN app, something for the video game, or like some kind of trinket of some kind.
The only one, like T said, that would really, really piss me off is if it's for the app. If it's for the game, I can deal with it because they do promotional shit for the game all the time. But if it's for the app, I agree, T, that it would just be stupid as shit.
No, we're here for a show. You got us built up for something. But if it's a video game, I'm done. They're not taking any of this serious anymore. Wrestling is no longer a serious business. You might as well just be a fan to just watch a parody all day. Because there's nothing emotionally that attached right now. Is there anybody you're emotionally attached to right now? It used to be wrestling. You used to be emotionally attached to a specific wrestler. Is there anybody right now?
I mean, for me, the last time I was emotionally attached to anything was when Cody beat Roman.
That's it.
Like, I mean,
what was that?
That was the last time I was emotionally invested in a match. Mm-hmm. I mean, that was like Avengers Endgame level of like me being emotionally invested in something. And I can't, I was a little bit invested in the John Cena run, but then it took weird turns and it got stupid, and then I was invested a little bit in John Cena's last match against Gunther, but like, yeah, nothing recently. And like the Royal Rumble did nothing for me. Like Roman winning was we should have all seen it coming.
Yeah.
And they're not doing a good job with this Liv and Stephanie thing. I mean, it's getting a little better, but like, I'm not super into that. I'm into, and I don't want to sound like an asshole, but like, I'm not that into women's wrestling to begin with. Like it's just it's hard to get into some of these characters because WWE, and I don't want to like sound like a jerk for saying that, but WWE doesn't take it seriously. So why should I take it seriously? Like WWE doesn't take women's wrestling seriously. Neither does AEW. So like, why should I take it seriously?
You're not wrong. I mean, you could tell just by the way that they treat their main champions that they don't take it seriously.
Yeah.
No, I can't argue that.
I mean, look at the way they treated Jade and the fact that they gave her multiple times to have the exact same promo last night.
I mean, part of that's on her, but still, to your point, yeah. But they don't do anything. I don't think they make Stephanie look that credible either. So
Well, they've been doing it, and see, and that's where your problem is that WWE has had a history of not really being able to figure out how to use international talent. They don't have a very good track record. It's only a select few that have, Asuka, even they ruin her half the time. They kind of just throw these women aside and they don't know how to connect stories with them because of the language barriers and stuff like that. Because like I said, the Liv Morgan crying thing still doesn't make any sense to me because they're almost acting like it didn't happen. And she's making an excuse talking to her in the ring the other day. And I'm like, oh, it's because of this. It's because of that. It's like, what? I mean, that didn't make any sense at all. No sense. I don't know what the crying was supposed to do for the storyline, but it was almost like you're supposed to just forget about it now.
I think to your point, I was thinking about it the other day. I feel like it's like 1 out of every 5, 1 out of every 6 international stars is about what they get right.
Yep.
Well, and there's so many of them that they ruin. There's so many of them that they ruin for nonsense. Like I truly am of the mind Asuka never recovered from losing to Charlotte at WrestleMania,
Nope.
however many years ago when she had that undefeated streak. Like she never should have lost to Charlotte. That was that was Vince, but still, that was such a mistake.
They ruined 2 people that night because that was also the night they had the stupid ending to the Shinsuke AJ match.
Where Shinsuke dick shot at him. Yep.
Both your Royal Rumble winners, both foreigners, and you ruined both of them in one night.
Yeah. I would say so.
Yeah. And I mean, lately it feels like the only international person, because I don't really consider like Gunther international. I think Penta is probably the one that they've figured out lately.
Well, Gunther is. I don't know how you wouldn't consider him international, but the thing with Gunther,
he doesn't have a language barrier issue.
Gunther doesn't.
International player, but I mean, you're right though. He's able to convene. He can carry a storyline because he can speak. Yeah. And the WWE has not figured it out on how to use people who don't speak English all that well. I mean, they could very well, on top of the performance center, get get some of these wrestlers in some, ESL classes, let them learn at least some basic English to get them through some storylines. But
give them a manager.
Huh?
Give them a manager.
Yeah, but you got so many of them. How many managers you're going to put in there?
You don't have to do it for all of them. Just give your bigger ones a manager.
Well, for the women, they're all big.
Can I say something controversial? And this is no, and I don't want to sound like a complete, jerk off. Don't cancel me here, but should part of the job be that you learn enough English to be able to carry yourself? Considering like you are working for a company that primarily operates in the United States, and your job is to kind of communicate with a crowd of mostly native English speakers. So, like, shouldn't this kind of be a little bit of your role responsibility? Like, if you were typing out a job description for WWE and somebody was to go to apply for it, shouldn't being able to communicate in English at least a little bit be part of the job description? And I'm really not trying to sound like a jerk, so please don't cancel me, internet. But it's like, you know what I mean? Like, is that a wrong way to go about looking at this? And I'm asking that respectfully.
Well, I think a lot of it you have to put that on WWE too. I think a majority goes on WWE. They know what they're signing with those contracts, so exactly. If they plan for that particular person. And I understand what you're saying completely. I agree with you. As a person, individual, and you want to be successful, you're probably going to want to learn to speak, some English here, just so you can carry some storyline. But at the same time, though, WWE has the onus for the amount of money they're paying these people to try and get, put them in a position of success. And by doing that, you need to probably, I don't know if they're doing it or not, but Asuka's been here forever now and still cannot speak more than a sentence in English when she's talking.
And you're right. Like the promos are like the fiery promos that like Stephanie cuts in Spanish or that Asuka cuts in Japanese are fantastic. Like they are, and Shinsuke too, right? Shinsuke's been here for a decade, and and like the video packages that they do where they do the dubbing and stuff like that, those are all awesome. So, and I really like that. But I guess just like I wonder if, to your point, Reese, about international wrestlers with the language barrier not being able to get over,
Mhm.
I kind of want to blame the wrestler a little bit too, because like you need to make a little bit of an effort given what your career is. Where
No,
because you're primarily wrestling in the United States, and like
but Mike, if you're the guy who's hiring these guys, you know their resume.
Right.
yeah,
WWE's headhunting these people.
that's
Right.
also true. That's
Right.
also true. But so WWE should have, I mean, their WWE has got enough behind them to be able to help these people out
Yeah.
to get a little, I mean, and I'm not saying you need to be able to speak and understand English at like, a collegiate level. You just need to be able to cut basic wrestling promos, I think, to be able to just help yourself out a little bit. And that might be part of the reason why these people don't get over with the crowd. Because let's be honest, like a lot of wrestling fans are children and people who don't, people who just kind of see these characters as very one-dimensional, right? So like if I'm going to a wrestling show and I'm 12 years old and I see somebody coming out and just yelling in words I don't understand, I'm not going to resonate with that person because I'm like, well, I don't know what the hell he or she is saying. So like that wrestler's not going to be my favorite character, so I'm not going to buy their merchandise because I don't understand them, and not like AEW or WCW, but like I mean that's wrestling, right? But like WWE is sports entertainment, and half of the people who go to these live shows are kids, and kids don't care about that crap. They want to see somebody who can speak and they can understand it, And I think that that's a really important like delineation, I think.
Well, I think you're on to something, but I think at the same time, I don't know if kids would be the angle I use there because kids want to see the wrestling. They want to see the high flying or see throwing. They don't, I don't know, depending on their ages, but young kids aren't really paying attention to people talking unless it's John Cena pointing at them or something. I think it's more.
Or yeah, I mean John Cena, Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns, yeah.
People want to see storylines they can relate to.
A lot more adults than you see at kids at these shows. You really do. Absolutely.
I don't know. With the one in Buffalo, I would say it was like 25% people under the age of 16.
Right. So that's only a quarter of the arena. 75% of that's all adults.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
You should, when you're telling a story, you need to be able to tell a story that people can relate to. And when a large portion of your audience can't understand what's being said, how do you relate to that?
Well, but this is why I'm saying
just talking basic storytelling.
No, I know, but this is why I'm saying this WWE. Because when
I agree.
Think about Shinsuke. He didn't even have to speak very much on the microphone. Just his presentation got people interested in him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do it, but that was a WWE thing. So if WWE doesn't have a plan for you and they're just like putting it all on your shoulders,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to fail no matter what. And I get what you're saying. You do have to put the onus on yourself to probably learn, basic English so you can do that. But at the same time, a lot of it's presentation too. That's why I put a lot on WWE. If you don't have a plan for this person and you're just going to drop it in the lap of someone who's never lived in America to try and carry storylines, they got to be a particular person. You got to have a charisma factor. And that's what Shinsuke has. That's what Asuka has. But, a lot of the other women, don't forget now, a lot of these women that are coming up, from other countries, and a lot of them aren't very much heard of. And again, like you said, and this is nothing against women, it's not as popular as men. So you're not going to know all the women internationally who are good wrestlers in the world. So they got to be able to present themselves to an American crowd in order to sell them. And if you're not doing a very good presentation, knowing their shortfalls, that's on WWE.
Yeah.
I think it should be like 70-30, where 70% on WWE, 30 on the wrestlers.
I can agree with that.
Yeah. I don't want to take a moment to criticize these people for like their ability to wrestle in the ring, because if you look at most of the roster, most of the best wrestlers are the foreign born ones. Like we like look at how much we gush over Julia on this channel, right? Like you are not presenting her appropriately at all. And Stephanie too. She's a fantastic wrestler. But the presentation is a very important point, Reese. Like they do a shit job presenting these people and like letting them just and if you're not going to like if getting them to to learn or to get their English better for this American audience is not going to be something that you're going to do, then allow them to tell stories in the ring and let them use their wrestling to be able to tell these stories in the ring. And I don't think they're doing a good job of that either.
Well, I think a lot of the issue too is, I mean, we're in a different time. So you figure in places in Europe, South America, masculinity is a thing. I mean, the same thing pours over to movies. I mean, most of your top action stars aren't even American anymore.
True.
You know what I'm saying? So this is not just a WWE thing. This is like a whole,
cultural thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely. So it's tough to find masculine American men to play those roles because you need to have some sort of masculinity in wrestling. You have to. You got to be able to be a threat to someone else across the ring. There's got to be some sort of stakes that are involved. And this is why you don't probably see as many, because this is how it's just been. It's pretty much turned into this. I mean, even hosting TV shows and reality shows, most of them aren't even American, they're all English.
Yeah.
So, I think, WWE has fallen into that trap a bit. And if there's anything that you probably need more masculinity is, would be wrestling, just because that's what it is. And I think WWE is having a hard time finding American wrestlers that can carry that over.
Yeah. So before we get canceled, we should probably get back to SmackDown.
My bad. So there really wasn't much else to talk about on this episode. We did have another US Open challenge between Carmelo Hayes and Matt Cardona, which was an awesome match, as did see Melo retain.
Always.
Yeah, Melo has been a shining star on SmackDown, and I'm glad that I think putting the US title on him was great. It gets him great exposure with the audience, and it allows people to see what this dude can do. And that the code breaker is just unbelievable, and I really enjoy watching that guy wrestle.
I have a question. What are they doing with Ilya? Like, these promos have just been kind of weird. And I mean, they kind of explained it a little bit more with him claiming that he feels he doesn't deserve it. But, like, it seems like a weird direction to be taking with one of your best, most physical wrestlers on your roster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I don't. Again, like I said, they're flooding the roster. They're just flooding the roster, and you just kind of, you ask more questions where people are and what they're doing with them than you are about storylines. And that's a big issue for WWE right now. But you're right. I mean, that was a good match. That was a very good match. I'm very interested in what the angle is with what they're going to do with Carmelo right now. So, are they going to get him into a match at Mania, and who would it be against?
Well, they did make a point of saying during the match that whoever holds the title would be on Mania, and whoever didn't, who knows what their path to Mania would be. So I thought that was an interesting comment to make. I'm thinking that Melo's going to hold an open challenge of some sort, and I'm wondering if by Mania it's Ilya again, and that's when Ilya wins the title back.
They've also been telling stories with a few other people too, trying to get them in there, like Tama Tonga as well. He's been, linked to that. So I could see a handful of guys, maybe some kind of multi-person match as well for that US title.
Give me a ladder match.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, give me a ladder match with Carmelo, Tama Tonga, Matt Cardona, Ilya, Shinsuke, Apollo Crews. I mean, there's a bunch of people that you could use to put on a good ladder match with.
Yeah. Speaking of the MFTs, I think most of the rest of this is probably going to go into the bad portion of the show. The match that opened the show was Uncle Howdy finally wrestling, defeating Solo Sikoa to get his lantern back. But even though Uncle Howdy won the match in what was, in my opinion, a really slow, boring match, the storyline continues because the MFTs attacked Howdy after the fact, took the lantern, and ran away. So the cartoon characters versus the MFTs continues.
I mean, it was nice to see Howdy wrestling again for once. But I think it's just the problem is it was the combination of styles that the two of them wrestle. Unfortunately, made it a slower style of match. And just to make a video game comparison again, I know that they like when you're setting up matches in the game, you're supposed to do like different types of wrestlers against each other, and these two types just aren't compatible.
Well, I think that you have an issue with the Uncle Howdy thing. In my opinion, just get rid of it. I'm done. I'm done with the Uncle Howdy and all the
I'm
other.
with you. I'm so with you.
There's nothing happening with this at all. There's almost like they're just people being put in as holdovers and parodies for other wrestlers until they can figure out what to do with them. That match was slow, absolutely, and it's primarily slow because, as you had mentioned, Sean, this dude ain't wrestled in how long?
Yeah,
I mean, he has, and the problem I have with him is that he's trying to hold on to the Bray Wyatt legacy, and he's trying to keep carrying it over. And the unfortunate thing is that he's not Bray. He doesn't have the charisma. He doesn't have the charm. He doesn't have the. I don't even think he has the look. I think the look looks cheesy now. I think it just looks kind of goofy in the ring. So, I would just get rid of it. I'm done with it. Just what they should have did. They should have found a different type of angle with him using the Bray Wyatt thing. But they're trying to replay the Bray Wyatt stuff with him in play, and it's just not working.
There has to be a way for them to tell a story where, like you said, he's not Bray Wyatt, and they need to stop acting like he is. And instead, you should tell a story about him trying to honor him. You know what I mean? Something along those lines, and not trying to be him. And then, as far as the match itself went, like Solo is also not an extremely fast-paced wrestler himself. He's not plotting, but he is more of a like he's not fully technical, but he's one of those slower, harder hitting type of wrestlers. So that combination alone is kind of what doomed this match.
Yeah, I mean, he's more of a power guy. And, if you're going to have another guy who does, I don't even know what you even list Uncle Howdy as what type of wrestler he is, because we really don't know because he hasn't really done too much. It was he probably should have wrestled one of the other guys, probably, instead of Solo. He probably should have,
like Tama.
Yeah, he probably should have just wrestled them and just had this match and trying to get the lantern. I don't like the whole snatching of the lantern thing, because now you're dragging the story out even longer now. I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty much that storyline means nothing to me. It's pretty boring.
We had a nothing match between Jordynne Grace and Candice LeRae, which saw Jordynne Grace defeat her after using the pump handle suplex. And the last thing on the show, which was of any note, was Tiffany Stratton defeating Kairi Sane, which was originally supposed to be a match between her and Asuka. But Asuka came out to the ring, and again, we go back to a bit of the language barrier here. Although Asuka does a decent job with it from time to time. Asuka claimed, she's too smart to wrestle before Elimination Chamber, and so she just tossed Kairi into the ring, and Kairi obviously was not going to beat Tiffany Stratton. There was a bit of shenanigans from Chelsea and Alba, who were also at ringside for this match on commentary. So while Tiffany obviously won this match, it makes me think, again, going back to our point earlier about Rhea winning, I think with what you were trying to kind of set up with Tiffany here a little bit, I think Tiffany's going to be involved in other things, be it with Chelsea and Julia for the US title or something else like that. I no longer am of the mind that Tiffany has any chance of winning tonight.
You said it right there. I think that the fact that they had Chelsea randomly at ringside, I think that they are setting up something storyline wise for her and Tiffany instead of her Tiffany winning. And I think it's hysterical that Asuka does that crap all the time, where she makes like she's going to be in a match with somebody, because she did it to Rhea and Io too before, and then she's like, "No, you get Kairi instead." And I think that's great whenever she does it, because the look on Kairi's face when she gets thrown into the ring is always fantastic. And then the match itself was pretty damn good. I enjoyed it. And then I just wanted to you went through it real quick because you said it was a nothing match, but I'm really enjoying depressed Johnny Gargano. I think it's absolutely hysterical. And I don't know if you've been following any of the stuff like out in the real world, but he's been doing the stupid depressed thing in real life too. So he was at a birthday party for Ciampa's kids, and the picture from the birthday party was Ciampa and his family sitting on Gargano laying face down, like he has been.
That's funny.
Yeah, it is kind of, it's pretty goofy. It really is. It's kind of like that. What was the? Remember back in the day they had like the whole planking thing. What was that from? What show
Yeah.
was that? Was that The Office?
Something stupid like that, yeah.
That's almost what he's doing with this storyline. Is the whole planking thing. Just kind of find him laying around somewhere.
He's depressed.
Yeah. So it's pretty good. But yeah, I mean overall, I guess we'll see what happens. I mean, I'll be honest with you, the way things have been going right now, I'm probably not expecting anything to blow my mind. The fifth chamber thing is interesting. I just don't know where they're going to put another chamber. Where the sixth chamber? Sixth chamber, right? Sixth?
No, fifth.
Fifth.
Yeah.
Where are they going to put?
They've done it before. In the past, they've done one single 7-man elimination chamber. So they've done it before.
When?
It was I think it was like 6 or 7 years ago.
I don't remember it being that.
That might have been that would have been the Austin Theory year. I know they did one. I don't remember exactly what year it was though.
Yeah, maybe they are going to do it. I mean, I can see that. I mean, if they're going to add another chamber in there, but then who do you throw in there? Watch
Brock Lesnar.
Brock Lesnar.
I think though, if it's going to be that, you'll know in advance because the chamber hanging above the ring will have to be covered. So, like, if we go into the show and the chamber's not visible, we'll know what it is.
Well, don't forget now the skits, the backstage stuff usually happens before the show.
Right, but when they open it and reveal it, the people in the audience would already know. You know what I mean?
Well, no, I know. That's what I'm saying. I don't know if they're going to do the reveal of what's in that box. It'll be before the show starts. It'll be pre-show.
Okay.
You dig what I'm saying? Because during the pay-per-views, they really don't do a whole lot of backstage stuff during the pay-per-views. Most of it's just match after match after match, and promos after promos after promo, getting you all caught up. So if they're going to do it, it's going to probably be during the pre-show.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So that was SmackDown. A lot happened on this show to get us to Elimination Chamber. But with that, fellas, what is your final rating for the show?
I would give it a C overall. I mean, the Cardona match and Carmelo was pretty good. I mean, outside of that, I mean, you got. I mean, this show was just lining everything up for Elimination Chamber. Is all of it's doing. So, I mean, I don't know how much of a grade you could even put on that because, this particular show was just a lot of cleanup. Like Raw was terrible, so they had to end on some sort of note, even though this wasn't the greatest note to lead into the chamber either. Mm-hmm. So, C minus, I'd say. I wouldn't say it was a bad show. It just was kind of, eh.
So Raw normally does a better job with the go-home shows, and with how bad SmackDown was last week, it definitely feels like they had to have a better episode this week, which I'll give them credit, they did. It was way more cohesive than last week's was, and definitely way more cohesive than Raw was. And I think the fact that Oba Femi admitted he was going to commit a felony in the ring on Mike Mizanin definitely earns us some points. But I think I give it a 3 out of 5. I think it deserves the average score because it was above what I gave last week. So
yeah, I think with you. I think I'm with you with that. It was a better episode than Raw was. It definitely changed some stuff leading into the PLE, and it definitely did a lot of retconning and just cleaning up, right? And they got to start to get stuff right now after tonight, because like you only got a limited window between now and WrestleMania. You got roughly 5-6 weeks of shows left to do before WrestleMania. So you really need to start setting up, because you need to get 16 to 17 matches together for your biggest show of the year right now, and you've maybe got 3 or 4 that seem to be relatively locked in. So you need to get that going. And I think hopefully, they can get their stuff together and make it right after tonight. So with that, my final rating for the show is a ESPN app in the box out of 5. So that is our show, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. As always, tune in tonight as we will be doing a live watch along of Elimination Chamber, so you can catch our reactions and interact with us as we watch the show. And thank you so much, as always, for joining us. With that, I've been Mike, joined by Mr. Sean O'Neill and Mr. T. Reese. Have yourselves a fantastic evening and take care.